Alright, so today I wanted to make a video about this story from CBC, and there's kind of two stories within the story, but the main point that I wanted to talk about was a poll found that 55% of Quebecers are okay with Alberta separation. Now, this is a very staggering stat and idea, I guess, because are Quebecers really that either stupid? I don't understand that. Like I mean, they must be just that dumb because Quebec has gotten over $100 billion in the last, I believe it's about $100 billion in the last 10 years from equalization payments, and almost all of that money they get is directly from Alberta. Now, if Alberta separates, well, all of a sudden that money doesn't come into the province, and all of a sudden Quebec either has to um, cut your healthcare, pensions, all public sector or government funded stuff uh, by 10 or $12 billion a year. I believe it's 12 billion, but it's definitely over 10 billion. I don't know the exact number. I think it's between 10 and 12, but it doesn't really matter. It's apples and oranges. But like Quebecers, like it doesn't make sense to me that I guess I now I understand a little bit more. I understood it before why the East it refuses to vote out left wing governments. Like just refuse. I mean, I know Ontario did it on a provincial level, but they didn't do it at a federal level. And if you're just going to do it on a provincial level, then the provincial governments have their hands tied with a lot of things, namely Jason Kenney, who it's kind of the other issue in this story. He's having a pretty tough go of things. I did reluctantly vote for him, but and for the main reason that the NDP was just toxic as can possibly be. They're like Justin Trudeau federally, in that, like I said, I think I've said it before, but I'm a lesser of two evils voter, assuming that the lesser of two evils is a pretty clear difference. Like if it's slightly worse, like Obama Romney, I think would have been a good example of that. That was Romney better? Yeah, probably, but I don't think there was much of a difference, and like I wouldn't have voted for either one. Um, Same thing in the last election, I guess. Scheer and Trudeau, contrary to what the left would have you believe. Scheer was as far to the left, and I would say by a pretty clear amount, as a conservative ever has been, and that was just too far. And like, it's not as if it was issues that I didn't really care about. Like, if he wanted to go, far left on issues that I didn't think were that big of a deal to me, at least, but the fact that he wanted to basically keep the carbon tax, just not call it a carbon tax. He refused to take a position on a lot of things. He didn't want to cut immigration, and all those things was just too much. So I didn't vote for Scheer, but that's going off on a tangent. Back to the main issue. Like I said, I don't understand Quebec. Like, are you guys really that stupid, or is it just arrogance? Like what is it in Quebec? Like I said, you guys are getting $12 billion a year. That's completely unearned. That's you shouldn't be getting, and yet, like I'm guessing that they've just gotten so used to getting their ill-gotten goods that they think that they deserve it. It's like it's the same thing with the public school teachers, that they've gotten so used to having it so good that they think that it's gotten to their head. I think kind of that it's like the person that the communist or the fascist dictator that has people who forces people to vote for him and has sham elections that after a while he actually thinks that the people support them. I think it's actually a similar situation. Not that Quebec is a communist or a fascist place, but I think that the amount of propaganda. I think that they've took it hook, line, and sinker, and they believe it. That and this is another reason too, that for the people that are still on the fence about separation in Alberta, like this is another reason for you to support it. That even the people, even the other people want us to separate. Like it boggled, like I said before in the previous videos, like it boggles my mind why people do not in Alberta do not want Alberta separation. Like, why? We have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. If Alberta separated tomorrow, we'd have an extra $20 billion to put into our economy. There's no, and that's almost double the amount that's currently put. That's about almost half of what's currently put in. We currently are getting about $28 billion in benefits from revenue, royalties, taxes, all that stuff, and we're losing about 20 billion. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, if we could, if Alberta, like, in other words, we could literally cut taxes like in half and still afford all the benefits that we're currently giving to people. Not only that, we'd have more money to put into our own economy. Like, it makes no sense at all. And for the people that are saying, well, even if we separate, we're still not going to be able to get our oil to shore, whether it's east, west, south. Well, we're not doing that currently. Like, the federal government, as long as the Liberals are in charge, it's not going to happen. They're going to block it no matter what we do. So it's not going to happen. As if we're better off going on our own. Then we can negotiate directly with the states. We can negotiate directly with BC. And we could, we could try negotiating with the Trudeau government. Of course, it's not going to happen there, but at least we'd have a decent shot at it going west and going south. I mean, going south, I think we'd have a really good chance. So the one thing is that the people who are against it, like I said, with so many issues, is that they're people that just can't think for themselves. Like, they can't think for themselves whatsoever. They're people that generally watch the mainstream media, and the mainstream media is, number one, it's biased to the left. And if you're on the left, you don't want Alberta to leave, because if Alberta leaves, it would become a more capitalistic, I guess, country. And if you're on the left, capitalism is the communism of the left. So that's why they don't want it. And like I said, it makes no sense. I mean, Alberta is an overwhelmingly conservative province to begin with, so it makes no sense. I think that if an honest and open, fair referendum would happen, I think that probably about 60 to 65% of people would vote to leave. But if a referendum were to be put on, there would be the federal government would pump out propaganda. Even a lot of your NDP and whatnot, people within Alberta would pump out propaganda. The mainstream media is still, all you have is Global, CBC, and CTV. They're all biased to the left or way to the left. So I think it would probably lose slightly if you were to ask me right now. But like I said, I think if an honest, fair election or referendum were held, that it would definitely happen. But like I say, I don't see it happening anytime soon, even though I've seen a lot of these rallies that have gotten 1,000, I think upwards of 2,000 people I've seen at one of them. So it definitely is popular. The problem is just getting it going. And the other problem too, the last thing I'll talk about, is Kenny doesn't seem to be too interested in the subject. Which kind of the other thing too that I just can't stand about the left is that they think Jason Kenney's like the second coming of Hitler, basically. Not that he's like an out-and-out racist or anything, but they think he's the worst thing ever. Like the typical left, that the next guy's always the worst guy. But anyways, that Kenney and them agree on separation. That Kenney doesn't want to leave, at least right now. But yet, the left, they won't give him credit. And that's the one, another difference between the left and the right, the many that exist, is that when the left does something that the right agrees with, the right generally gives them credit. But like look at all the people on the right that agree with marijuana legalization. Not that we have actual legalization, it's heavily regulated legalization. But they gave, Justin Trudeau credit on that. Maybe there's some people, but almost everyone I've seen, at least, reluctantly gave him credit for that. But the left, they agree with Kenney on separation, but they can't give him credit for anything. And that's something that I can't stand about the left, and I know a lot of people can't stand. But basically, take-home point from this video is that, what's up with Quebec? What are you guys, what kind of Kool-Aid are you guys drinking over there that, you're getting $10-12 billion a year directly from Alberta that you haven't earned, that you shouldn't be getting, but that's taken at the point of a gun, and yet you want Alberta to leave. Like, are you that stupid that you don't realize that you're getting this much money? You're like, you haven't put two and two together. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to think that people are that dumb, but I don't see any other reason for it. That people are just that dumb, and that they've fallen for the amount of propaganda that they're given. That, like, I can't see it being any other solution. Like, I want it to be an innocent solution, but there's no way that it could be. Like, it makes no sense, for other than that they're just that dumb. And so, I don't want to talk anymore about this video or this issue. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.